Now, I see that Clayton Oliver's war with the media continues. In fact, he's switched targets now. He went hard at Mitch Cleary at the airport during the trade period where Mitch was at the airport, in fact, the arrivals lounge for another player, and Clayton accidentally stumbled into the arrivals hall when he was trying to depart for Sydney, and there was a bit of back and forth there. But now he's lined up SEN and Channel 9's Tom Morris for Tom's comments on footy furnace in the wake of the trade period, specifically on Jack Steele being, as Tom called him, a more reliable, better character, Clayton Oliver, at Melbourne. And Clayton, he fired back on Instagram over the weekend. He posted that video of Tom on furnace and then wrote, "Exemplary character, what a role model. I've seen you do some," what did he say? He said something else. "I've seen you do a few questionable things, off-field chompers." So Clayton just calling out members of the media on his platform.
Yeah, so how much buyer's remorse do the Giants have? A fair bit, I reckon. Like that, and this
Based on this?
Yeah, this isn't me defending the media at all, because the media's got to be accountable, and Tom lost his job for 12 months for all of that, so he was held to account for that, and Clayton essentially has been held to account for the way that he's carried himself, to the point where his club sacked him. Like a club great pretty much pulled him in, and sounds dramatic, but told him to pack his bag, shipped him off for a third-round pick, and are paying half of his contract. So for him to go down this path is one that he's not going to win. I think he's incredibly stupid to do this because he's just not going to win a war against the media. He won't. They're always going to have the last say. So whilst the Giants feel like we've got a player that can be a good player for us, and we got him cheaply and there's no risk, this is not without risk, and this is a big risk. So if I'm Adam Kingsley, if I'm Dave Matthews, if I'm Jason McCartney, I'm going, don't like this, because once you begin to become a distraction for your teammates, and you make it about yourself, and you put yourself out there, and you put yourself in the headlines again, then it's a form of selfishness where you're putting yourself above the team. Now, this is just a bit of a warning for the Giants that they're going to have to rein this guy in. It's I think it's highly embarrassing for him to
middle
go
of
down
the
this
off
path.
middle of the off season. So I would say if he's doing this in the middle of April, I'd be worried. Just taking pot shots ever in the middle of the season. It's the off season. It's been a pretty stressful time, I'm sure, for Clayton Oliver. He was dealt a curveball he hadn't anticipated, hadn't expected. His world's been turned upside down, and there's been commentary around him and his character and all that sort of stuff. But it's the middle of the off season. I give him a little bit of grace. If he's doing it again at the start of the season, then I think he's entitled to a little vent.
If you've just been sacked by your club and you've been shipped out the door, I think there's a bit more head down, bum up type stuff that would be at the front of my focus. All right, let's get super fit. Let's let my footy do the talking. Let's play angry, and let's respond in that way. He's just not going to win this. I just think, once again, it's naive, it's stupid, and it's a war that he's not going to win. Like, he's taking on Mitch, he's taking on Tom. They'll be the next one. I said the exact same thing about Jack Steele. It's factual. Like, he can essentially replace Clayton on field. And if you compare their numbers of the last couple of years, Steele and Oliver might have had 5 or 6 more possessions, but defensively, Jack Steele's a better proposition. And in the locker room, and if you read the article in the Herald Sun over the weekend about Melbourne and the dramatic changes that they've made and the acquisition of Steele and the role that they want to play, him to play in amongst the leadership space, he's a better character. He will not be a distraction one bit. He'll be additive to the culture of the Melbourne Footy Club where Clayton wasn't. So, I don't know whether the Giants just have a quiet word to him, whether they did fully their due diligence around him off the field and the potential for him to be a distraction. But if I'm Toby Green, I'm going, mate, what are you doing? You haven't even played a game for us yet. And the discussion is around you.
It'd be interesting to see how it goes. That is for sure. Off the text, some of your feedback, Chris. So, Kane, what you're saying is that a player has no right to stand up for himself. And then what's Clayton's problem? Jack Steele is a better character than him. No contest. I don't think Tom said anything that anyone hadn't said before. But for whatever reason, Clayton at the moment just a little bit agitated for reasons that we tried to articulate earlier. And it's a future third-round pick the Giants have given up. And Melbourne are paying a heavy, heavy chunk of that salary as well. So,
you know what amuses me the most? Like a lot of players say, I don't take any notice of the media. Don't read the papers. Don't take any notice of the media. And the minute something is said about them, which is reasonably accurate, they're all over it, and they know exactly what's been said.
Yeah.
So he spent some time doing that. So we'll see how this plays out. What I will say and what I forecast, it is going to be a long 5 years for the Giants, trying to manage his on-field form and getting him to a level that he can be a valuable commodity again in a midfield that has sort of moved away from the high accumulator, low damage type of players. It's a long 5 years left on that deal, and one that's going to take up a bit of the Giants' mental capacity off-field as well as on-field.
Good on the players having a crack at peanuts in the media. You guys think that you can say what you like about anyone. Finally, someone stands up to the media and you don't like it. So if Clayton Oliver can't win that back and forth, Kane, as you suggested, the media will never win the PR war. The public will always side with the player, but the player's got to rise above. Like Bailey Smith's probably best advised to get off it for a while as well. The social media, just no good's coming from that at the moment. I think Kevin Durant can't help himself with the trolls. There's a bit of back and forth with KD over time. Sausage Gossage. D King loves a crack back and forth. You're pretty good on the back and forth as well, actually.
Well, I just think if there's a way to do it, next time he's in front of the media, if he wants to make a strong point back, no worries. Stand up there, put your name, put your face to it. I think it's very easy just to go to social media and clap back in that way. There's certainly a way that you can do it, but the best way that he can do it is by playing well. And then, showing it that way through actions more so than, how many words have we seen from, it's pointless for Clayton Oliver. Like the last 2 years have been a disaster for him. And now the club has essentially marched him out the door. And a few days later, he's spruiking on social media. So I just let his actions do the talking more so than an Instagram story again.
Yep, indeed. All right, just one other footy thing. And then speaking of tweets, I saw Josh Money's tweet over there in Adelaide. The news, I think initially reported by Josh Gablich on the AFL website.
Yep.
I don't think it's been confirmed by Carlton yet. At least I haven't seen it. But Port Adelaide champion Travis Boak set to join the football department at Carlton in a big coup for the Blues. He'd been courted by Collingwood, the Western Bulldogs, a number of others. But it looks as though he's heading to Carlton, where he'll take up a role there in a leadership and culture sense, and return to Victoria for the first time in 20 years. But the stepping stone that it's seen to Zach Butters, so Josh Money's tweet, the Blues now boast, and didn't this get some traction, the Blues now boast Zach Butters as former mentor, footy boss, midfield coach, and junior coach, plus a fresh haul of draft picks as clubs just position themselves for this. It'll be a 10-club bidding war over the course of the next 12 months, if it isn't already.
Yeah, it's good stuff. The link's there. But I said the same when Hawthorn were targeting Ken Hinkley a few months ago. I mean, I think the Hinkley acquisition is the one to watch. I don't necessarily think the Chris Davies, the Travis Boak, as much as there'll be some nice familiarity there with
Torrin Baker, the development coach, is his junior coach.
Don't know a whole lot about him. I reckon the one to watch is where Hinkley lands. Would be the biggest link with
where is Ken going to land?
How close Zach and Ken are. I don't know, but it's amazing that Port Adelaide fans wanted significant change and all of that, and then everyone that's left Port Adelaide has been in such high demand. It's like you don't know what you've got until they're gone, perhaps. So we'll see Chris Davies high demand, Ken Hinkley, they're such high demand. Travis Boak's in demand. Tyson Goldsack's been poached by Collingwood. So Port Adelaide fans want the significant change. It's amazing how desirable those people from Port Adelaide were that ran the footy program that Port fans were so frustrated about. So I know they've made some changes themselves. So anyway, just an interesting side note on that one. Just some quick footy. I just did want to pay tribute to, so Tom Mitchell and Mason Cox have been delisted essentially by Collingwood, and we'll see whether there's another home for them. But the video that they released, I think the Collingwood social team did it, of Mason Cox's tribute was it just reminded you how incredible this story is. The vision of him when he was first trying to kick a footy. So they
Good
posted
call.
this on their social media, and you forget. I mean, the improvement in him. And I was speaking to Campbell Brown about this yesterday at the telethon. He said he called a couple of his first VFL games when he was working there, and like a lot of the times it'd be like 3 or 4 touches. But he said he would just do one thing. We thought, okay, he's sort of slowly starting miles off it, but he'd just do one thing that you thought, okay, there might be something there. But he was running around with the sort of two-handed ball drop, couldn't kick on the run. So to do what he did and play as many games as he had, I think it is one of the best stories we've seen, and one that will be an inspiration for many others. I think he'll play a pivotal role now, probably in a role at the AFL somewhere in terms of trying to get other Americans to
You don't
play
reckon he
our
gets
game.
another crack?
I don't. Well, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be shocked if it happened and he got another opportunity. I mean, Todd Goldstein's still running around, so I mean that probably goes to show that there's a desperate need for some backup ruck. So look, maybe he will, but whenever it comes to an end, he's going to play a pivotal role. I think probably in a role for the AFL of attracting others, but. If Collingwood don't want him, will another club? I don't know, but it's an incredible
Tom Campbell's
story.
still
Well,
running
it.
around.
I mean,
So
that's it. So maybe he will. But
yeah, 34 years of age, first American to really become a regular AFL player. And you're right, that first combine in Los Angeles, a world away from the player that took Richmond apart in that prelim final.
Genuinely couldn't kick on the run, let alone stationary. So.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing story.
And didn't mind talking a bit of smack out on the field, which I liked as well. After he'd kick a set shot, he always made it his business to get in someone's grill, which we like.
Question without notice. So Pete Ryan, and he's not the first person to mention this, just about the AFL loathing long-term deals and wanting them to be restricted. So the question to you is, who's going to win the war, the AFL Players Association or the AFL? Because the PA are happy with it. We heard James Gallagher on SEN Breakfast with Gary and Tim last week. They're happy with it. He reckons it can work for the players. It can work for the clubs. They're happy with the status quo. The AFL are concerned that there are 14 players signed beyond the expiry date of the broadcast deal in 2031, and who knows what that's going to look like. Cozzy Pickett's till 2034. Who's going to win?
Is there going to be a war, though? Like, I feel like the AFL might say they don't like it.
So
and
the
make
PA
some
will win.
They're not going to do anything. I don't think they're going to do anything.
PA always
the AFL.
win. Is there a war? And I say war,
Well,
like in
yeah, I don't think the AFL want a war. They don't view like that. Their view is, having spoken to them not too long ago, is that they think it might correct itself. That by seeing players struggle to get out during the trade period and how long-term contracts can give you security, but also a chronic lack of flexibility, that it might fix itself. That players and managers would be loath to sign them.
So
they hope anyway.
The clubs don't like them either, though. So when I say the AFL, I'm talking AFL House, but also the clubs.
They've got a funny way of showing they don't like them when they sign Cozzy Pickett up to it.
Well, they say that they have to, because if Melbourne don't do it, Freo will. So they will say that they just have. They hate doing it, but if they don't do it, someone else. So if you want to keep your players, you have to do it. But okay, well, second question without notice is, and you have to think on your feet for this one: is there a war that the AFL-PA have ever lost? Do they, have they become the most powerful commodity or body in the game? Illicit drugs, they win, even though the AFL wanted to crack down on that.
They definitely win that.
Player leave, they win. Like, they get more leave left, right, and centre. They win on short day breaks and cracking down on that. They win on long term. Is there anything that they lose on?
That's a good question.
I don't know if they do. I don't think they ever lose.
I'm sure they do, but I can't. We're not privy to all the details, especially around CBAs about what the horse trading involved there. I'm sure they lose, but none of the things you mentioned we can say they've lost. That is for sure.
Like Jamara gets paid for not playing. Like that would have been an AFL. They would have stepped in there, and you got to look after maybe fines. Maybe the increase in players being fined. Maybe they haven't won that one for on-field sort of stuff. But
yeah.
Gee, they're a big, powerful body, the PA.
Yeah. It's a good question you ask. They haven't got as much power as I saw a headline over the weekend. The Spanish Football Federation, whatever they're called, like they
Busy
decide
on the weekend just reading.
No,
up
how about this?
ins and outs of the Spanish Football Federation?
No. How about this? They decided that a match, I can't remember what one, would be played in Miami. They'd take a game overseas, right? Like a lot of sporting leagues do. And the clubs cracked it that they weren't consulted. So now, en masse, they're not moving in games. For the first 20 seconds of a bunch of games at the weekend, their players just stood still. So the ball was supposed to be kicked off. They just stood there like statues. And the cameras are refusing to show it. So they're going out into the stands and the streets and they're panning around. Oh, look at this pretty beach.
Their version of a strike, really.
Yeah, they're striking. Yeah, they're protesting. So they've threatened this over time, you remember, but never actually followed through on player strikes and the like. So, but yeah, the balance of power, good question. How would Rhys Shaw be feeling at the moment? His Gold Coast AFLW side goalless at the weekend. They didn't kick a single snag.
Really?
0 goals, 66-point loss to a side who sit 11th, the Bulldogs, and they've had a 1-9 season. Goalless.
I wasn't up to speed with the results in the AFLW over the weekend, but I saw some of them. But yeah, that's sackable. And style.
Yeah. Well, Ange would have been long gone. 1-9, unfortunately for the Suns in the W. Do we need a looser threshold for rain in white ball cricket in particular? So if it's not absolutely hosing down, do we just bloody get on with it? Like, so frustrating watching that game. Nothing's more frustrating than cricket delays due to mizzle, drizzle, any sort of wet weather.
I always think that with the light, where like you should never ever stop a game for poor light. We've got great lighting facilities at every stadium that we play at. A game should never ever be stopped for poor light, like as if not dangerous, but when it's wet, makes it a bit difficult. Yeah. Hey, did you see the top 10 most valuable sporting brands in the country?
No, I was too busy watching the Spanish Football Federation comings and go.
The most valuable brand is the Panthers in the NRL. So that 129 million is what they're valued at. Collingwood 127 million. The Broncos at 120. The Lions at 116. The Swans at 115. The Tigers, the mighty Richmond Tigers at 108. Your Blues at 99.
Based on what?
Million. Just the most based on everything that goes into valuing a brand.
How can just I don't care. I couldn't care less. But how does Penrith outbrand, for lack of a better phrase, Collingwood when Collingwood go into more markets and more states than Penrith?
I was really surprised at that. The biggest shock for me was that the Eagles were the 9th most valuable AFL team. I would have thought they were at 1 or 2. The Eagles, they got. I mean, their crowds turn up even in the state that they win one game for the year and they're still getting 40,000 there, and they're only valued at the same as Port Adelaide. That makes no sense to me. So anyway, the top 10 most valuable AFL brands: Collingwood, Brisbane, Sydney, Richmond, Carlton, Geelong, Adelaide, Hawthorn, my Hawks, West Coast, and Port Adelaide. The top 10.
Okay, so value looks at how much of a company's profits are attributable to its brand. It is a combination of the strength score, how much it would cost to license the brand's assets, and the company's forecast revenue, and includes the valuation of the trade name, trademarks, and the logo. That's the fine print.
Yeah, I reckon there's some bargains. Like when you consider, so the Perth Wildcats sold for 40 plus, I think low 40s. I reckon you'd be pretty happy to get the Sydney Swans for 115. If the Wildcats are selling for 40, there'd be buyers everywhere, I would have thought, for Sydney or West Coast at 79.
Yep. Penrith's last grand final struggled to sell out, says 825, having a shot at the NRL. Penrith's leagues club is huge. Pokies! ! Coming through. So
the Melbourne Storm worth nearly 20 million more than the West Coast Eagles. That can't be right.
Yeah, that's out of my field of expertise.
Same, but I'm just reading what I read.
Pete, the horticulturalist, is asking when the fixture comes out. A lot of questions already about the fixture. That'll be in November, so we can park that one until mid to late November, typically, when it comes to the AFL fixture for 2026. Just with Christian Petrarca going to the Gold Coast Suns in the trade period, we had Craig Cameron on on the Thursday after on Trade Radio, and he said the coach has been ringing him about Christian Petrarca, and he's had his magnets out this week already, having a look at things and how it looks. Is that easily the best midfield in the game next year, Gold Coast, when you consider Rowell, Anderson, Miller, adding Christian Petrarca, or are you still of a mind to think
Brisbane.
Dunkley, McCluggage, the Ashcroft time too? Bailey
Rayner.
flows through there. Rayner throws.
Yeah, I think comfortably still Brisbane.
Or is it the Dogs? Bont, Ed Richards, Libba, Baby Bont, Fraser, and a couple of others?
The Dogs would be in the top
Treloar.
5 best mid for English.
And then I look at your Port Adelaide, which for all their flaws still have an incredible engine room. If they're all fit and up and about, the Hornet, Butters, Rosie, and Willem Drew. So some nice balance there.
Pretty solid there for Port Adelaide. Yeah, that'll dictate how successful they are next year. But yeah, Brisbane for me, I see Levi Ashcroft signed till 2030. Oh, they're amazing. How they just not that very rare for a third-year player to consider leaving, but they've done a great job. Zach Bailey's the next one there. Who's your early premiership tip?
Oh,
Come on, no.
I feel sick even answering
You would
that.
have thought about it.
No, I wouldn't have.
Yes,
Actually,
you
know what? That's
have.
where you've overstepped because I categorically have not thought of
for
it.
your 8. I'm not asking to go deep diving onto how you see it all
What an
playing
absurd
out.
question on October the 20th.
Who's your early premiership tip?
Oh, I haven't given it a second thought until just now. And for Watson giggles, I'll go the Suns.
Okay, fair enough. Hey,
Go on then.
No, I'm just gonna hold.
Who's winning the flag? Oh, see.
No, I think the Western Bulldogs will win the flag next year.
Oh.
I do.
Are you proud of yourself?
And I left out Lockie Neal out of Brisbane's midfield mix. Apologies to the dual Brownlow medalist.
Big omission.
Apologies. Thanks, Mick.
No, I think Kingy and I will sort of deep dive that late in February probably.
Oh, I get it.
But it's
okay.
no, in terms of the 8. And how that's going to, and we'll have time to do that. But I like my early tip is the Western Bulldogs.
And why is that then?
No,
why?
I just told you.
Have they got better? Have they?
There's no need for deep analysis on.
They didn't make the 8. No. Just hang on. They didn't make the 8. So how do they go? How do they win the premiership?
There will be actual time for me to deep dive and explain that reason as to why. Hey, Melbourne are starting to release some information around their strategy to be as aggressive as they were in the trade period. There was I think Safe Space did a really good double pager on the weekend about that, and Paul Guerra was pretty honest about it. I liked what he said about Petrarca. He said, and I'm paraphrasing this quote, but he said, he's not 2021 Christian Petrarca anymore. He's 30-year-old Christian Petrarca. I just think Collingwood missed a trick with the goalie. He's not 2022 Jordan Goey anymore. He's 2026, and he's 30, and he doesn't play. I think that was a missed opportunity, as I said during the trade period, not to be a bit more aggressive and do what Melbourne did and move them out at the right time when they've still got incredible value. Now, would they have got picks 7 and 8 for Jordan Goey? Probably not, but there would have been a top 10 pick in there somewhere, which Collingwood desperately need. But yeah, I just think clubs just now starting to think about when a player has peaked and what the next 4 or 5 years looks like for them.
So you say he's not 2021 Petrarca, but did they trade like he was? Like it was an enormous deal that Melbourne got back.
You had to do it. So
7, 8, 37. Gold Coast 2026 first round pick and Gold Coast 2027 third round pick. That's a huge haul. The Suns get Petrarca, pick 24 and 28 came back the other way, and Melbourne's 2026 second round pick. So fair bit went back with Christian, but that's a big influx in this year's draft for Melbourne. So 7, 8, and 37.
The equivalent of pick 1 is what they're saying. When you add up
on the points.
When you add up the points. So when they traded Petrarca for pick 1, Essendon could have traded Merritt for pick 1 as you add it all up. On Zach, when do you think he will talk?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? So we've heard from Jai Simpkin. I think there was another player who, Charlie Curno's statement was pilloried for not being detailed and lengthy enough for a decade at Carlton, but at least he popped up and he said something and thanked the fans and the supporters and everything. And Jai Simpkin's message was all class, I thought.
And Zach commented, I think, on Jai Simpkin's post, just with a love heart and all that.
So when is the right time? I mean, I think every single media outlet in the country is chasing Tom Petroro, his manager, as well, for comment. He is keeping his own counsel for now as well. So there will be a time. Clearly, there will have to be. I'm told Zach Merritt pretty much comes back to training early every year, had done before he is required. I wonder if that will happen this off season as well. So when is the right time? I'm not sure.
Soonish, I reckon, in the next week or so. I think. I mean, there's a variety of ways you can do that, but yeah, you'd love to hear that. I think it's important for Essendon fans to hear him speak. He may not be in that frame of mind yet, but not too far away if I was advising him to jump in front of a camera and give your version of events, and also how you're feeling about going into next season.
And Sean's text in, Melbourne are in a different position to Collingwood. If they had just played in a prelim final like the Pies, would they be trading Christian Petrarca?
I know, but Port Adelaide played in the prelim final the year before as well, and things can turn pretty quickly. You need to be a step ahead in terms of your list management. Now, the text is right because Melbourne have invested heavily in the draft and they've had access to some good picks, and it feels like they've nailed those picks. So then to continue that reset or rebuild is probably wise, whereas Collingwood are probably in it for the now. But yeah, I think a missed opportunity.